Tonight on Cronkite News, President Donald Trump signs an executive order making English the official language of the U.S. How will this impact Spanish speakers in the Valley?
Plus, how one local organization is helping to clear up the growing uncertainty around becoming a U.S. citizen.
And it was a big weekend for Sun Devil swim and dive. We'll tell you all about their accomplishments at the Big 12 Championships.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Leah Phillips.
And I'm Matt Ross. Thank you for joining us.
President Trump said today that his tariffs on Mexico and Canada will begin tomorrow. As planned, that means a 25% tax will be imposed on all goods coming from those countries. An additional 10% tariff will also be imposed on Chinese goods. It is unclear how or even if companies will pass those rate increases on to consumers. Mainstream economists say the costs of cars and groceries are likely to go up in the meantime. However, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is optimistic that these increases will encourage U.S. manufacturing.
We know it takes time to build plants and manufacturing in America. So we're going to come out with a model that incents people to move it back. I mean, we need production and manufacturing back in America, and we're going to do it with tariffs.
President Trump paused the levies on Canada and Mexico in early February to create a more fluid transition.
Meanwhile, President Trump has signed another executive order making English the official language of the USA. Approximately 31.6% of Arizona's population is Hispanic and Latino according to the 2024 U.S. Census. As Cronkite News reporter Alana Goodman tells us, this new executive order has prompted differing opinions from members of the Hispanic community.
On Saturday, President Trump signed this executive order. I spoke with a representative of a local school district and an ASU professor, both with different perspectives. The executive order permits government agencies and federally funded organizations to decide whether to continue providing documents and services in languages other than English. Members of the Hispanic community have different ideas of what the executive order means to them and the impact.
I don't think this is really going to affect people, but I just hope that people would be positive and optimistic, and hopefully they'll manage to turn this around. There's nothing wrong with speaking more than one language.
Trump is appealing again to what I would call the ethnocentrism that's been historically part of the United States in relationship to others speaking a language other than English. And so he's appealing to that to that trope, if you want, to that racialized trope, where people regard, especially the Mexican population, as a foreign population.
According to NBC News, this is the first time in the country's history that the U.S. has designated an official language. But this new executive order does not mean it's illegal to speak in another language other than English. In the newsroom, Alana Goodman, Cronkite News.
Immigration has been another focus for the Trump administration. In the Office of Homeland Security Statistics estimates that 8.7 million permanent residents were eligible to become U.S. citizens as of January 2024. But what's stopping residents from taking the next steps? Our reporter Nicole Macias Garibe tells us how one organization in Phoenix is helping immigrants apply for citizenship.
Becoming a U.S. citizen in a country they love. That is the goal of the dozens of immigrants who attended this citizenship education session, according to the director of Mi Familia en Acción.
We do these kinds of information sessions so that folks are fully prepared for the process, and we're helping folks fill out their citizenship applications because there's a lot of uncertainty right now, a lot of fear in the community, and a lot of desire to have a voice and a vote, and also to truly be permanent.
Mi Familia en Acción is a nonprofit organization that helps immigrants navigate the citizenship process. Immigration attorney Juliana Manzanares leads the training.
When I do these types of events, it's knowing that it's going to reach people that truly need it, that truly have these questions, that can apply, that maybe may not be able to hire me as a private attorney, but come to these events to be able to get these services and access to information.
According to survey data by the Pew Research Center, permanent lawful residents of Mexican and other Latin American origin avoid applying for citizenship due to financial, language, and administrative barriers. Some of the eligibility requirements to apply for U.S. citizenship state that you must be at least 18 years old and a legal permanent resident for 5 years, demonstrate good moral character, have knowledge of U.S. history and English on a test, and demonstrate continuous physical presence in the U.S. 67-year-old Jose Verdin, a car dealership owner, has lived in the U.S. for more than 40 years. He attended the event because he wants to become a U.S. citizen.
They are doing an essential event for Hispanic people. We lack information, and many of us don't know how to defend ourselves. This is essential.
Like Verdin, others at the information session say they're applying for citizenship to vote in the next election, a right only reserved for U.S. citizens. In Phoenix, Nicole Macias Garibay, Cronkite News.
Mi Familia en Acción will have an additional session to help fill out citizenship applications that will take place on March 28th. It's free and open to the public.
Electricity is going to get more expensive here in the Valley. This comes after the SRP Board of Directors voted on a rate hike proposal that passed. The average customer will see a 3.5% increase starting in November. That means customers can expect to see their bill go up about $5.61 every month. SRP says the rate increase will help the company meet its sustainability goals, as well as providing low-income customers with financial support. Coming up next, a new way to reduce waste.
And a new way to make a difference.
We very much want to walk the walk, talk the talk. If we're asking our residents to partake in more sustainable habits, we want to be that model.
When we come back, find out how the city of Phoenix is making a small difference to prevent big waste.
Plus, winter weather is making its way across Arizona. Will the valley be cooling off from record highs? Join us after the break for the full weather forecast.
I grew up in a small border town, and water was really important to us. Without enough water, we can't farm, we can't eat, we can't live. And the way we're doing it right now, straight up doesn't have a future. I went to ASU because this is a place where you solve problems. With vertical farming, we can grow the same amount of food with 95% less water than traditional farming. The work I'm doing at ASU is changing the way I look at the world.
Innovation at the Walter Cronkite School is pushing the boundaries of traditional journalism.
Storytelling has evolved over the years. This is part of that evolution.
Students in the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Lab are using emerging technology to create scenes in augmented and virtual reality, coding playable games, and bringing the audience into the story.
They're only limited by their imagination and their willingness to learn.
Find out more at cronkite.asu.edu.
Welcome back. Turning food scraps into solutions. A new collaboration with the City of Phoenix aims to divert 50% of wasted food from landfills by 2030.
That's right. Cronkite News reporter Leslie Chapman tells us how they're going to achieve that goal and how you can be a part of it too.
According to one report, Arizona ranks highest for the amount of food that is wasted and the lowest for the amount of food recycled. Another organization, Waste Not, says Arizona throws away $9.5 billion worth of food every year. Now the city of Phoenix is hoping to make a difference, starting with City Hall. It might just look like your average garbage bin, but this bin is actually a food recycler, and it has a unique job.
It basically eats all the food that you don't eat, and it grinds it up overnight into something that looks like coffee grounds but smells like spices. And it doesn't smell at all.
And several of these food recyclers have made their way into the break rooms of Phoenix City Hall.
Happy to say we are the largest deployment of mill bins in a municipal facility. So we have them in all 20 floors here at City Hall and then across the street at the Calvin Good building on all 10 floors.
Before the food recyclers came to City Hall, a food diversion service was already in place. But Jordan says that the new bins remove the ick factor and more employees want to take part.
We found that people are more inclined to use them. They're curious about them and what's happening inside the bins.
Curiosity that is driving numbers.
Really trying to get creative on how do we start to build out the pathways to divert the food waste, knowing it's the heaviest and it's going to help us move that needle to hit the 2030 goal and then ultimately toward our 2050 goal, which is to be a zero waste city.
The city of Phoenix and Mill hope that through their collaboration, Phoenix residents will also want to get involved.
We very much want to walk the walk, talk the talk. If we're asking our residents to partake in more sustainable habits, we want to be that model, right?
Residents can choose to keep their grounds, and some have even used the grounds as chicken feed or trading with neighbors for fresh eggs. The city is also partnered with a local farm called Recycled City, who can pick up the grounds and use the compost collected to grow vegetables that help feed the community. In the studio, Leslie Chapman, Cronkite News.
National parks across the country saw thousands of former employees protesting this weekend. This is after the Trump administration fired about 4,500 park workers as part of an ongoing government budget cut. The Protect Your Parks protest began with the Resistance Rangers. The organization is made up of hundreds of off-duty park rangers. National parks such as the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, Saguaro, and Yosemite were among the 170 parks that protests occurred. Former Yosemite National Park Ranger Andrea Townsend describes what visitors can expect on their next park visit.
Here in Yosemite, we've lost custodians, we've lost our locksmiths, so I think there's going to be, more trash. There's going to be more conflicts with wildlife that are, coming closer to human waste, and there's going to be issues with, locked doors, the things that you don't normally pay attention to when you're here because you're able to just enjoy the beauty of the park are going to be more apparent because we don't have the staff to keep things running as efficiently as we would like.
More than 160 wildfires are setting the Carolinas ablaze, forcing thousands of people to evacuate their homes. North of Myrtle Beach, the Carolina forest fire has doubled in size to 1,600 acres and is now 30% contained. There is a statewide burn ban put in place due to the dry conditions. State of emergency was declared in both North and South Carolina.
An historic moment in space exploration was made on Sunday. The Texas-based company Firefly Aerospace landed an unmanned spacecraft on the moon. Firefly Aerospace is the second private sector company to complete such a triumph. The goal is for the aircraft to collect data on the moon's magnetic fields and how orbits affect GPS services. This is Firefly's first Blue Ghost mission, and other companies are expected to follow soon with similar missions.
Back here in the valley, a winter storm is moving across the state.
In fact, a winter advisory has been issued for parts of northern Arizona. Mahir Sinhasan joins us from the Cronkite Weather Center with what we can expect.
Thanks, Matt, and a happy Monday to you all. Now, if you went out today, you probably thought it's really cloudy, it's really windy, and it's really cold as well here in the valley. Those are the types of temperatures we're going to expect tonight. 60 degrees at 10 o'clock as the gusts get up to 8 miles per hour. But more importantly, let's take a look at your low temperatures for tonight. Winter weather across northern Arizona, Winter Rock at 14, Page at 36, Grand Canyon, where you're getting most of these winter advisories from, 21 degrees. But that's not all, folks. Look at the southeast corner of the state. It looks fine right now. Douglas over here at 29, Tombstone at 33. However, this entire region has been seeing a red flag warning today. That means winds are getting so high, usually to about 45 miles per per hour in terms of gusts that is causing an increase in fire risks. So it's really important for people to really keep their fires the way they are. Now, it looks fine for the most part right now. This is what it looks like on Tuesday afternoon. Tombstone 62, Douglas 64. And if you look at the northern region, pretty good as well. Flagstaff at 52, Grand Canyon at 51, Page at 61. If you're wondering, where is that low pressure system that's causing all of the snow and precipitation across State 48? Well, it's going to be in Nebraska and South Dakota by tomorrow afternoon. You look at some other temperatures. Quartzsite 74, Lake Havasu City, soon to be the spring break capital of State 48, 75. Back here in the valley, 73 degrees. This is your 8-day forecast here in the valley as we get back into the 70s on Tuesday. A chance for some precipitation on Thursday, and then it really increases on Friday while the temperatures decrease. A 58-degree high on Friday, but a 21-degree increase as we head into Sunday. So that's the best time. If you have to go outside, that is the best time, most optimal time to do so. And then we dip back into the 60s on Tuesday. Weather of all sorts here in the valley, so whatever you like, you're sure to find here in Arizona. Mihir Sinhasan from the Cronkite News Weather Center, back to you.
Thanks, Mihir. Coming up next, the NAU women's golf team has taken a unique approach to building its roster.
That's right. These players have come from all over the world to compete for the NCAA championships.
The players we recruited just kind of worked out that we recruit all international players.
Although the players come from different places, they found a home at NAU while competing for championships and playing the sport they love.
Good evening and welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Max Cepeda. Tonight we start just down the street from here in downtown as the Suns were back in action last night against the Minnesota Timberwolves and suffered yet another crushing loss. Kevin Durant led Phoenix with 26 points, but it was Anthony Edwards who stole the show for the visitors with a game-high 44. The losses are now starting to mount up for the Suns as yesterday's 116-98 loss is yet another stain on the Suns' disaster of a season. Since the trade deadline, the Suns are just 3-8 and now sit at 28-33 overall, marking them for now on the outside looking in for the NBA's play-in tournament. And if you can't catch a Suns game in Phoenix, you can catch up the up-and-coming players up in Tempe, as the brand new Suns G League team is hosting theme nights and most recently put the spotlight on their maroon and gold neighbors. In their first season as an organization, the Valley Suns held ASU Night at Mullet Arena. The night combined with classic Sun Devil hoops traditions like the Curtain of Distraction, along with other iconic ASU staples. That night, the Valley Suns built an early lead over the Rip City Remix and never looked back, winning by over 25 points. But beyond the score, the team won something much deeper: the support from their new community.
I think it's really valuable. I think it's a great opportunity. You never know who might show up here in the game. You know, like our last home game, KD's popping in the building. Like a lot of guys have got their start in the G, and I think it's just a fun opportunity. You can see them first and see them early.
The Valley Suns hope to use this support as momentum as they enter their final month of the season and aim to keep their spot in the NBA G League playoffs. Meanwhile, the NFL held its annual draft combine over the weekend in Indianapolis, and ASU star running back Cam Scadaboo was in attendance, making quite the impression in front of the league's top executives. Scadaboo recorded a 10-foot 3-inch broad jump and soared to a 39.5-inch vertical jump, good for second among all running backs in attendance. He opted out of the other drills instead, choosing to save his full workout for the Big 12 Pro Days in 2 weeks in Frisco, Texas. The women's golf team at Northern Arizona University is creating relationships that will last a lifetime on their own, with an international flair as well. The team is comprised of players from all over the world, and Cronkite News reporter Sammy Califf went to a recent practice in Sedona to discover how golf brings them together.
The satisfying sound of a golf club hitting the ball is what these players have in common. The NAU women's golf team has a roster filled with international players who enjoyed the scenic background of Sedona, Arizona, their home away from home.
The players we recruited just kind of worked out that we recruit all international players. Just kind of happened. It wasn't a plan, it just happened. And I found that they are highly skilled, they love the game, they want to practice hard, they're grateful for the experience, and it's just worked out great for us.
Representing countries such as England, New Zealand, and Russia, the women came to the United States to prove themselves, traveling all over the country to compete against the best.
I came all the way to NAU because they've got the best courses in America.
However, playing isn't the only thing that forces collaboration. It's what they have in common.
I think we've really clicked well, considering we're all international, so we all sort of relate to each other. So yeah, I think it's been pretty easy to just get along with everyone.
And while the team doesn't talk about specific goals for the season, they're hoping to be contenders in the Big Sky Conference. Junior Lizzie Neal won an individual title last year, and there's plenty more to play for as a team.
We'd love to win the conference championship and continue to improve our national rankings as well as be good lumberjacks. So I believe in our team in the sense of our abilities. There are some very talented players.
Tens of thousands of miles from home, away from their families, the women have become one big family thanks to NAU Golf. The women may come from different backgrounds, but they are here for two things, to win and to play golf. In Sedona for Cronkite Sports, I'm Sammy Califf.
Thanks so much, Sammy. NAU Golf will continue to grow together as a team and recruit some of the top players in the world. And the program will look to continue to expand its program globally. Meanwhile, Sun Devils Swim and Dive capped off its inaugural Big 12 season with not one, but 2 Big 12 titles in the pool. The Sun Devil men won their 3rd consecutive conference title, while the women picked up their first in program history last week in Tacoma, Washington. The teams combined to win 29 individual Big 12 titles, and they set a whopping 13 records throughout the competition. ASU named Johnny Kulo the men's swimmer of the meet for his 5 meet and Big 12 records set en route to 5 individual and relay titles. And on the women's side, Caroline Bentz was the women's swimmer of the meet, and she finished the week with 5 school records while winning 5 Big 12 titles as well. Next up will be the NCAA Championships, which will also be in the Pacific Northwest and begin on March 19th for the women and March 26th for the men.
I mean, fantastic. It's unbelievable. Just the whole swimming and coaching journey has been a ton of fun, and to do almost my entire career at ASU is something that, I mean, I can't really put into words what that means to me. Oh, yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, we just talked about it with them, that it's like, okay, we get to be back here, women in 3, men in 4 weeks, and if we can all be just a little bit better than we were right now, we're going to be in a pretty good spot. So it's celebrating for the next 20, 30 minutes and then getting focused on what's next.
On the court, the regular season is over for Arizona State women's basketball, and the Big 12 tournament is quickly approaching. As the 3-15 in Big 12 play, the Sun Devils are the 15th seed in the tournament. The Sun Devils will take on the 10th-seeded Cincinnati Bearcats in the first round on Wednesday at 5:30. And if they make it past Cincinnati, they'll have to beat both Iowa State and Baylor to make the semifinals. Cincinnati and ASU last matched up on January 25th in Tempe, in which the game was decided in the 4th quarter, with the Bearcats outscoring the Maroon and Gold 29-13 in the final 10 minutes to claim the 73-66 victory. The Sun Devils will look to win the high-stakes rematch in Kansas City with their season on the line. And finally tonight on the men's side, the Devils have just 2 games remaining, with their next contest being against cross-state rival and number 24 ranked Arizona. Although the trajectory of these teams seem very different, you can be sure of a hard-fought fight at the McKill Center tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Arizona time. The Sun Devils' chances of making the NCAA tournament are slim, but not zero. ASU would need to win the Big 12 tournament to even make the field of 68, and if the season ended today, the Devils would be the 15th seed in the Big 12 tournament and would face West Virginia, who they beat earlier this season. That's it for tonight's Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Max Cepeda. We'll be right back after a quick break.
That's it for tonight's edition of Cronkite News. I'm Leah Phillips.
And I'm Matt Ross. Thank you for joining us.
And to see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org. High five me or you.